Bum, bum, bum. Ay, ay, ay. How's everybody doing today? Welcome to Real Talk with GAF. My name's Alan Lopez. I am your host. And what can I tell you? I know it's been a while since we've done the show. I always say that when I start the show. I don't know why, but it's because we take forever, but it's okay. It's because we want to have great content for you guys. And I'm not kidding when I say that. I think over the years, as I've done this show now for several years, I always it's hard to find good people that want to come to the show and really share um, their talent, their abilities, their skills, their experience, their feedback to the community and whatnot, especially the roofing community. But this one, it was particular. This one was a challenge, and I'll tell you why. Because I've known this individual for a long time. I've been to his office. I've been to actually last time I went, I think we rented a restaurant. And it was very fancy, but we did a training for the installers, which was really good. Um, and I've known him for a long time, but I've never been able to uh, pin some time and invite him. So we were at one of our conferences, and I saw him, and he was there, and he was so excited, and I was so excited, and I'm like, oh, I got to have you on my show, and so he agreed to come join me and be here for Real Talk, and it is a pleasure to have him here. Without further ado, let me go ahead and introduce our guest today, Mario Aguilar, CEO of Lemus Construction. Welcome, Mario. How in the heck are you, man?
Hey Alan, thanks for having me. I know it's been a long time coming, probably overdue to be in front of each other, but very grateful for the invitation. So I'm doing well, very busy, grateful, and I would say focus. Focus to get this season going. There's a lot to go on this year around. We're going through a season of reinventing ourselves. So it is a pleasure to be part of this, and I cannot thank you enough for the invitation. And as your podcast calls it all, real talk with care. That's why I'm here. I wanna give you the real stuff. It's not about rainbows and unicorn stories. This is roofing, and I fall in love and with the roofing industry, and I'm probably gonna die
But
within the roofing industry. So
well, that's no joke. I think that's a very true statement for anybody that joins this industry. I remember when I started, probably not as long as you've been in the roofing industry, but I've been in the industry for now 16 years. And I
Mhm.
remember my boss telling me that he said to me, "It's like, Alan, nobody chooses roofing out of like out of a job of a career. It's roofer chooses you."
Mhm.
And I kind of was like, come on, roofing, you know. I said, well, you're right. I'm not gonna choose roofing if I can be a business individual or a doctor or a lawyer. But what I underestimated is that second part of the statement, right? It's roofing chooses you. Not everybody is equipped to be in this industry. Not
Mhm.
everybody has the longevity that this takes to be in this industry, and nobody perhaps appreciates roofing as much as those that are in the industry. And even though that may be said for other industries, I think is very particular for this one. And I'm very grateful again that you're here. I am for those that don't know, and I'm gonna say this, you're amongst an icon in the roofing industry, at least in the Northeast of the United States. So. Um, you mentioned something that I want to go into our nitty-gritty question. You mentioned you're in the process as a company to reinventing yourself in the
Mhm.
business. So I'm very curious
So
how you're reinventing, but tell me a little bit more about your history before I got to know where you're coming from to reinvent yourself. Where do you start? Where are you going?
So this is the thing, Alan. I joked before that participating in podcasts have to be the closest thing of walking into a couple therapy session. You probably know this, but
Yes.
let's call it different. Let's call it like a business therapy, and I'll tell you why. Because just like in relationships, life in general, family stuff, and you better believe in business as well. you have to address the big elephants in the room. You have to talk about the uncomfortable stuff, not because you're looking for confrontation, but because I feel like honesty, when you allow yourself to speak freely from heart, that's where growth begins. And I say this because people, especially in our industry, carry a lot of things inside that they don't always say out loud, if you will. The good, the bad, the frustration, going through pressure on a daily basis. And Alan, I learned this the hard way, probably, that the good can always be improved, but the bad stuff, the stuff that people avoid, for me, I think that's usually the doorway to the next level. So when I talk about reinventing the company, this is what we've been doing since day one. This season for us is about becoming more mature, just tidying the systems, working on the standards, uh, building leaders, because I think that's something that probably we left behind over the years, like we were just focused on production and going out there and executing project after project. And we forgot that we're doing this for the long term. We are not, how can I say this? Like, we're not chasing the noise. We're not chasing the spotlight at this point in time. We're looking for consistency. That's probably the best word to describe this, consistency. And guess what? I think in a few words, we're still building. 18 years in the business, Alan, and we're still building. And we're still reinventing ourselves day by day because, not to get ahead of everything else, Alan, but if you take 25, hear me out for a second. If you take 25 of the top roofing contractors nationwide, put them in a room, that's probably not the most pleasant room that you're going to walk into, but it is going to be all about the wins, the numbers, sales, growth. They may allow some secrets to go out there, but I would say that becoming a contractor is far more than that, Alan. I feel like becoming a contractor is probably similar to becoming a parent for the first time. You don't know what you sign up for until you're already in it. Does that make any sense?
That's a good
It,
one.
it becomes about adjusting, improvising, adapting. So you treat your business like it's your baby, and you care. And of course, taking it to the next level, that's the challenge. That's always been the challenge.
You mentioned a couple of things that I want to touch on. Number one, you've grown so much in 18 years, which by the way, I would not on the outside, I wouldn't agree with you in saying that you haven't built leaders because I would assume that for 18 years in the business, the core of the business had to be strong in order for you to be where you guys are. And the reason I say that is because again, I looked at, we in our career trainings, we share a statistic that says, 70% of the companies that go into business go out of business within the first 2 years.
Mhm.
And 10% of those companies that survive go out of business in the next 5 years. So a very small number of roofing companies survive. So to me, what that says is you're part of that small number that's not only survived, but has thrived in the roofing industry. So I think if you're building better leaders, I would probably agree with that. You're probably building better leaders in your business. Um, and the analogy about a parent, you cannot be more right than a business with a parent, because sometimes the business or I would say the dynamics of the economic world that we live in tend to get the business on a different direction. And it's like the kid, right? Is the influences that come to your kids, you want to bring them back. And I think that's a perfect analogy that you mentioned. You want to keep that business just like your kids. It's just like your firstborn. You're always very proud, but also very concerned and very active in taking them to that right level. So it's a great analogy, Mario.
No, no, listen, Lemus Construction. it started as a family business, and we continue to carry the family culture. Like one thing that is never going to change. And actually, you told me this last time I asked you. I said, "What do you think is going to happen with the roofing industry, knowing that the private equity is just dumping tons of money into this?" And then you point out on my shirt. I don't know if you remember this, but
Yeah.
it's stuck in my head. You point out and you say, "Read Lemus Construction, last name. This is a family business. This is not going anywhere." You told me this. I don't know if you remember.
It's because you trigger me with with the word with the private equity
Yeah.
conversation. But it is
But
true, right? It is true.
yes, yes, absolutely. And Alan, like, I mean, you stole my line when I say that roofing, I did not choose roofing. Roofing chose me. And it's not talking from ego. I don't think Alan, young Alan, 25 years old, you were not considering to join the roofing industry.
Absolutely.
But roofing chooses a lot of people on a daily basis. Number one, because I think there is a big need to improve and step up the industry. And of course, GAF has been all about that since day one, and they are improving their products, their systems. So why not join forces and stick to that plan? I think at day one for Lemus Construction, it was all about grinding, and you probably will agree with this that in a roofing on a roofer, not roofing, because now in these days you don't need to be a roofer to become a roofing contractor, but on a roofer mindset, we're not accustomed to look forward. I'm sorry, we're not accustomed to look backwards. We're always looking ahead. What is the next job? Where are we going to be next week? What is our next customer? So we don't take the time, and that speaks personally for me because we don't take the time to turn around and see everything that we have accomplished, the marks that we already crossed. But that's the roofer mindset. And it's not a bad thing because you're always in the move to do more and better. And that's what we stick to the Lemus Construction operations.
I think you just mentioned something that resonates with me. My two youngest sons are runners, right?
Hmm.
And they're like roofers. And just hear me out here. They're long distance runners. So they're not about the 100-meter dash. They're about the what is it called? The 3,200 meters, the 2 miles, the 5 miles, right? They run distances.
Okay.
I was asking my son, the oldest one, if he ever looks back. Because in short distances, you don't look back. You're like you gotta be forward. And he's like, well, you you don't try to, but it's always a good idea to look back.
Hmm.
And he said for two reasons. So you always want to know where you are or where your closest competitor is. But he says something that I never thought. It's like you always want to see how much you've accomplished. In other words, how much distance you've covered.
Yeah, I
And I'm
love
like,
it.
holy cow, that's
Yeah.
impressive. And sometimes we don't do that as roofers. Sometimes we just like, hey, I just finished that job. Let's go to the next one. Let's go to the next one.
Exactly. I hear every word that you say during the introduction when you refer about Lemus Construction, and I don't like to sit around and talk too much about the company because I just we're focused on the results, but for the only reason that results show the hard work, the grinding, the whole process that we take on. So when I hear your words, I'm like, yeah, that's probably truth. We accomplish a lot, but we don't really focus or like pursue the spotlight. That's the key for us.
Well,
Stay
you don't have to
stay
tell me
stay
that.
real,
I know. I know.
stay real, down to earth.
I know that. I know, but no, I sincerely, I think that's what separates you, and separates good businesses is they're focused on what really matters to the business, right? And and that's what makes you different in this industry and separates you. And so, which is it's a great segue to my next question because there's no question in our industry that the last 5 years have been very different than the previous 20 in roofing.
Agree, agree.
And if we looked even closer to the last 2 years, we can say that they're being really different. I know, as a matter of fact, that for a lot of businesses, 2025 was a rough year. Not for everybody, but for a lot of roofers, 2025 was a rough year. So, my question, Mario, is how do you see the industry change, or how it's changed from when you started 18 years ago? But really, how have you seen the industry change in the last 5 to 2 years?
Yeah, I mean, like, if you allow me, I will say that 2025 was a tremendous year for us. Every year at the end of the year, we ask ourselves, like, okay, this is probably the highest that we're going to reach, right? And then it turns out that 1 year later, we crossed that bar.
Hmm.
But again, the roofing industry is evolving. It is evolving at a fast pace that sometimes is hard to control. For us, you have to ask your team the most important questions. Every job that we finish, we just go back to the drawing board. We say, okay, what did we did right, guys? Which we don't focus too much on that. We say, okay, what is the next thing? What we did wrong? And you probably hear this on a different ways, but the most important is what we're gonna do, not to let things fall apart. For the things that went wrong. I tell our team members there are no mistakes at the first time. I don't know if this is gonna make sense to you, but the first time I don't consider those a mistake. For me, it's learning. If you go ahead and make it two times, that becomes negligence because you know the result. So you don't learn the same lesson more than one time, if you will.
Hmm.
So first time experience, second time negligence, and that's what we try to just put out there for the team and understand that the commitment is greater. And to answer your question more precisely, in the last 5 years, roofing industry evolved to a ways that nobody could have predict. And what do I say this is that the biggest change probably is the level of professionalism that you need to carry. Okay, when you walk in someone's door and try to pretend that you are that person, that you're gonna deliver not just the result, but just go side by side through the whole experience, especially in the line of work that we do. You know this, multifamily. I mean, we have to perform a roof replacement while the homeowners are inside their homes. That brings the challenge to a totally different level. So, yes, material systems have evolved, but I think what it has changed the industry is accountability. Okay, accountability because customers are far more informed than contractors. And I don't take pride on saying this, but customers, they learn, they improve, they do their homework. So if the roofer is not willing to improve and step it up, you're gonna be left behind.
Wow.
And there is no doubt about that. So I just feel like process is important, training is important. Going back to the 25 roofing contractors room, if I can take you
Yeah.
back there, they don't talk about quality control. They don't talk about installation. They talk about sales, marketing. I prefer to stick to our roots and don't do more business, which inevitable the business is growing, but we're not after the numbers anymore. We really want to focus on quality control. We want to focus on installation, and like you say, we feel that if we do right by the homeowner, the advertisement, you can go on without too much expenses on advertisement. It takes so many jobs to build a reputation, Alan, and it only takes one or two to knock it off. So I think it's important to keep things practical, but I think it's more important to focus on the business problems, which is quality control and installation. So if you feel like the roofing industry has evolved fast in the last 5 years, I have no doubt in my mind that in the next 10 years, there's going to be a whole 180-degree turnaround where like customers are going to be way smarter and they're going to really pinpoint who's their guy, who's willing to give them the best experience. We're not talking about replacing shingles. We're talking about building roof systems and a fully integrated system where we're not just talking about the shingles, which is like what you see, but I'm
Yeah.
talking about ventilation. I'm talking about underlayments, flashing details. So you have to be full invested on this. I say this before. Uh, there is nothing outside of Lemus Construction for guys like me, and I can probably say down on behalf of most of our guys. Uh, and you know why? Because our founders, Mr. Lemus, and Mrs. Lemus, my sister, they're not traveling around the world, or driving fancy cars. They are here. They are here on a daily basis. They're grinding side by side with us. They're putting their hours in. So if they're still doing it at this time after almost 20 years in business, they're here every day looking for things that how we can do things better. I mean, the last thing that we can do is just support that and take the ride right along.
Wow. Like,
I
let
probably
me
say too much, right? And
no, this is very good. And for those that are watching, I want you to pay particular attention to a couple of things that Mario said. And that's why I like to write notes as my guests are talking, because I want to be able to come back to some of these things. But first thing you said that caught my eyes, and then I want you guys to see how he changed it and evolved it. First thing you said about what has changed in the last 5 years, right? The level of professionalism, and I don't think I could agree with you more. I think for good and bad, I've seen companies really stepped it up in professionalism, but I've also seen companies really downgrade that professionalism, take it for granted in some
Mhm.
instances. But what really struck me the most, guys, as you listen to Mario, is he doesn't focus on, oh, we're gonna advertise here, or we're gonna be on these shows, or we're gonna be on you probably do that as a company, but as you said, it doesn't drive you. That doesn't drive the business. What you focused on, which as a roofer, hits my heart, is quality control and installation. And I think that sums up the experience that you're talking about with the contractor. Yeah, the materials are going to be great. Put the best materials that you can on that roof. But if the quality of the control, the steps of that process are being taken care of, and the installation of the roof is being taken care of, adequate ventilation, adequate care of the homeowner, and in you guys' case with the multifamily business, having not only one homeowner at times, but having multiple homeowners as you're doing the roofs, taking care of them, taking care of the process. I think that I would say, guys, if you underestimate how valuable your installers are to your business, then you need to rethink. If you need to take anything out of what you're listening to hearing today, I know Mario hasn't said it, but I will say it. If you're underestimating the value that your installers bring to your business as it pertains to your sales, marketing, satisfaction results with your customers, everything, rethink that, because it's all about, at the end of the day, who's putting that roof on your house, on for your business.
Mhm.
And another one, just to finish it takes you many jobs to be successful, but it only takes you one bad job can
That's right.
destroy your business.
That's right.
One
Yeah,
bad
I
job. Wow.
and I, and I think the key as well, Alan, is you must stay humble. You got to stay humble in the sense that yes, the business is good, the numbers are great, the words and whatnot, but the installation, that's when you close. It's a full circle.
Mhm.
I'm not taking credit away from our office staff. We have an amazing customer care team. We have our estimator department. We have our business developing department. Uh, Pieces of the puzzle that we've been collecting throughout the years. But I'll never take those spots and put them where the installers belong to, because every guy who is wearing a Lima shirt up on the roofs, 95-degree during the summer, 100-degree, I mean, they deserve all the respect of the world. And I feel like if God allow us to be in business for many more years, The last thing I want to see is like disrespecting the installers because they are a huge part of these operations.
Ah, that's awesome. That's amazing. Now, for everybody that's watching, uh, again, put in the comments any questions for Mario, for me, anything you want to leave there. We'll read those messages as they come through and answer them back to you guys. I did have one last question though,
All right.
and this is always a surprise question. I don't even know what I'm going to ask until I ask it. Uh, but you mentioned something about your sister and Mr. Lemus, your brother-in-law. That I want you to be honest with me.
Okay.
Okay? Who gets to the office first? Them or you?
Honestly, there is a healthy competition, who puts the more hours in a week, but we were designed to go like 7 days a week, at the early stage of Lemus Construction. It was always Victor, Clady, myself. We were running jobs, going back to the office at the end of the day. I mean, Clady's two daughters, my daughter, they spend a lot of time in the office. I can take you back to see. This is the thing, like going back in time. Now you are bringing memories. So there was many nights that we had to sleep in the office because it was like just work through the day, go back to paperwork at night, and then start all over day by day. So the only thing that I can respond to that question is that Clady, my sister, she's the brain on all of this. The day that she decides to retire, I'll wrap everything and start walking away. We actually, and it's not a joke, we don't allow her to go out that much. We keep her inside of a glass box so nothing happens to her because the day that ever happens, then we're gonna be in deep trouble. So yeah, no, it's those guys are all in. There is no there is no plan B for this, Alan. So it must work. So it's
I have
fun.
no doubt. I have no doubt. I can see it. And hey, there's nothing wrong with health competition with family members, right?
No, no,
Nothing at all. And first and obviously, lastly, um, it is a pleasure to have this conversation with you, Mario. It's I think there's a lot of good things, there are little nuggets that everybody's been able to get. And again, um, ask your questions, guys, on the comments, because this doesn't happen often that we have Mario with us. So this is an opportunity for you guys to really pick his brain and ask him questions. I mean, I'm not saying that he'll share his information. I'm just saying you can try.
Alan.
And
But this is the thing that I didn't mention. There is no secret recipe for this. There is no a blueprint that fits all. Each contractor out there has to write their own recipe.
that's right.
There is no secrets on this. You make your own way. So for that, I'm very grateful, Alan. I hope this is not the last time. I hope I didn't say anything in the wrong way that
No,
you will never bring me back again. But I will say this: it feels good to know that there are people out there like yourself that see the roofing industry the same way we see it. And when I talk to you, that's my feeling. Like in a few words, I know we speak the same language.
you betcha. Of course. And again, thank you so much. Thank you, everybody, for watching. Thank you, Mario. It's a pleasure. I can't wait to go back to New Jersey. Hopefully, go back to your office, see everybody. Maybe I show up first before everybody else shows up to the office. Doubt it, but I'm going to try it. And tell everybody hi from me over there. And we'll talk to you soon,
Absolutely.
everybody. Thank you for joining Real Talk with Care. Have a good day.
Thanks, Adam. You take care.